So welcome to Channeling Jesus 28-day consciousness shift. I've completely lost track of the days, but when I come back, I will make sure that I put the right number at least on it. So this is part of the thing is for me to just let this flow. And that's what I'm trying to do my best every day with whatever is alive. So right now, whatever is alive is emotional work and emotions in the body. Not right now, but during the day, there's been a lot of that. Accepting some truths about myself and how I've been operating my body that I've had to accept that I haven't done a good job, really. And sometimes it can be tricky to accept. And don't get me wrong, I've done a really good job. But I'm talking about right now, we're always seeing new aspects of ourselves. And right now, there is a new deepening into the body. And sometimes when there is deepening, there are thoughts and beliefs attached to feelings. Some beings will have thoughts pop up in their head and they produce feeling. Some beings are aware of those thoughts. Some beings are less aware of those thoughts, but they just feel the repercussions of them. If you are talking about manifestation, we just want to clarify some things here. Both of them are just from two different levels. Thoughts, energy, thoughts go down to Gaia, comes up again with feeling, with the response. That's how it works. Thought always comes first. Even if you're not aware, right? So thoughts always comes first. So what you're literally feeling is the thought and the mirrored aspect of what the thought produced, which is it goes down to Gaia, comes up again in feeling in the body. And so in that sensation, you get the response of what it is that you are contemplating. And so contemplating that you haven't done a good job is a clear response from the body. That is inaccurate. That is how wonderful these systems are. Don't get confused with what it is. It is just a response from what it is that you are contemplating in the moment. Sometimes there can be a habit of feeling the body and always feeling. But sometimes recognizing that, this feeling is linked to a thought. You can work with the thought or the feeling, but don't get stuck on the feeling, thinking that you're feeling the body and that you have to let the body feel that yucky feeling, like as if it's processing through something. Sometimes it's just linked to a thought. And when you start to recognize that, it just dissipates because suddenly the intellect kicks in and recognizes truth. That's what will happen. And when you recognize truth, things just become clear. and things correct itself, and so the feeling dissipates when you do that. Because you're in alignment. Your thought system and your emotion system. Oh no, we've done a good job. How's a bird? Not as much as the other time, but it was a blackbird just moving away from the car, just kind of. That was a wonderful moment. And this is also important in these times of sifting through and comprehending your own beliefs, because there will be dips where you realize deeper aspects, come to deeper understanding and comprehension of what actually happened. Sometimes you can get flashbacks of past memories, past situations. Oh, I did this thing. And then you start to try and see it in a different light this time. This time around, try and see it in a different light. Don't just let that go on repeat in your mind. Because what you're doing then is that you are taking that tape player and you're just creating the same for the future. Because you're just going by the automatic, and the automatic is just what happened. So there is some questioning that it can be wise to ask, like, is this even mine? Sometimes you can have a feeling attached to a thought that doesn't even stem from your own thoughts. You just pick them up, like as if it was in the environment, which it is. We're swimming in thoughts. And everywhere that someone has an habitual thought, if someone else comes there, they can feel it. They can feel what the person felt like, smelled, maybe even thought. All of that can be picked up by a sensitive being that is aware. And all of you are very sensitive. It's just that you have been taught something else about yourself. You haven't been taught the truth about what receptive energy systems that you actually have walking around. They're very receptive. They pick up on everything. It's like smelling. This frequency business and feeling, you pick up all kinds of stuff. And it's not that you pick it up. It's just, there was a smell. But with energy, it's a little different. Because you can attach to it. And you can say, oh yeah, I feel like this is mine. Almost by automatic. Because whatever you feel is what you feel. We're not taught anything else. But your feelings are much more like receptors, and you can sense, like, this is what ghosts are. Ghosts are just a habitual of an energy, and if you pair that with beings that come and want to be frightened, then that can create scenarios when the focus is so strong. You get what you think about. You get what you practice for longer periods. That is how this world gets built. And so changing your perspective about what this is and how this functions gives you great freedom, because then you are empowered to make different choices. When you know the truth of something, when you get new knowledge, you have to apply it for it to be of any use. Otherwise, it's just something that you can brag to your friends about. And that's not what this is. This is a consciousness shift program where we change our consciousness so that we change the reflection of what we see outside. So that we work on the inside to change and alchemize and harmonize. First of all, by seeing things accurately, because certain things doesn't even need to be harmonized. Because they might just be the neighbor that you're feeling. And the way that you tell is that you start to ask it questions. Is this even mine? You will have a response. You will know. The body will tell you. Oh, no, this is the neighbors. Right? Because the body has a different way of functioning. It is a frequency calibration device. You are sensing frequencies all the time. And some are just responding to the habitualness of responding to whatever they feel. It's like a bounce back. They're not really in the game. They're just mirroring. They're kind of idling. They're not really fully in the experience, but they just go around kind of like puppets. Just go around doing the automatic. And sometimes even woke people are doing this. Because everything is cycles. And we're all going in these cycles. And sometimes we recognize those cycles. Sometimes we recognize other cycles. And then we forget about those cycles. And there are cycles upon cycles upon cycles. This is what the fascinating thing about this life experience is. There are so many cycles. And you can see it depicted even. And when you get really familiarized with it, you can start to feel that there's a different flavor of this day. You just feel it. It's just in the air. And that is your body picking up something that you're reading and that you're trusting enough and that you've listened to your body enough for you to honor that. Well done if you do that. And if you don't, start to invite that. And then go in situations where you can let your body go loose a little bit. Because your body is much like an animal. And it gets sniffs and whiffs of frequencies. And if you learn to follow it sometimes, it can surprise you. Because this is how synchronistic moments happen. Because that is the body, very acute, following the energy of something that it's sniffing. And it's up to you to follow it then when you notice that. Because that is a special feeling in the body as well. When the body it knows it's onto something, and you can feel that in the body. So the body is a wonderful instrument. An instrument to attune to different frequencies, to to instill different belief structures and thoughts and alter the perception of how you see certain things. All of that, when you start to play with it, is going to alter your reality. You can easily try this out if you dare. Most beings don't, because they're so used to staying in their own lane. When they do certain actions, then it's predictable results. But if you try, and you just start to behave in a different way, just pick a character, and just start to behave like that character. Their mannerisms, maybe even a different dialect, just for fun, just to see how life around you changes when you change and when you do something different inside. It's a wonderful practice because you get to see how malleable all of this is. But you have to dare. You have to dare to do something different. And that is a muscle in itself. To dare to change. Dare to change. Dare to do something different that you haven't done before. Dare to explore areas of life that you haven't dared to explore before. Different ways of thinking. Different ways of being. That's why it's so healthy to travel to different countries and continents to see how are they living here. You're seeing something on the outside, but have you actually gotten to know them? Like, how do they think? Not just what they look like and what they do and their mannerisms, but what are they valuing? What are their values? That was one thing this being was pondering when he was in history class. He was wondering, what were their psychology? Like, it didn't really say anything. It just said a whole bunch of facts. And who killed who. But it didn't say anything about the people. What did they think? How were they, at least not in the history books that I was reading back then. So it's all about perspective. And it's interesting with the history books. There was also someone said, I think I heard this somewhere. Whoever won would be the one that told the history, that would write the history books. I also paid attention to that, because I was like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense, because the one that won will say it in a particular way that will emphasize their viewpoint. Curious what the other viewpoint was. And this is one of the foundations of the dualistic perspective, are these viewpoints. And you can still have a perspective without being in the dualistic perspective, without having a mentality of the dualistic perspective. Just comprehending that there are other perspectives too. But you can be fully centered in the way you see it through your particular field and system. Of course, knowing that you have your own opinion and that you're not just repeating what other people's opinion is. Because there are many that have studied a lot and are listening to a lot, and they can repeat a lot. But they haven't fully comprehended this information. There are many. Because the main operating system that people are attuned to is the mind. That's why this connection to the body is so important. Because you can have even scenarios and stories about healing, but if it only happens in the mind, it's not really happening. It has to be in connection to the body. So you have to actually feel the body. Because there are many men, particularly, but also women, many masculine individuals that have been so overly intellectualized that they have deemed the feminine, meaning the body, and their feelings irrelevant. Like it shouldn't be listened to. Oh yeah, here it goes again, yup. That's a very dualistic perspective. Because that is depicting in someone their imbalance with their own masculine and feminine. It's just what it is. It's depicting right there. Because they are directly talking to perhaps their wife, let's say, in this scenario, and saying that. And then it's very clear what the dynamic is, even inside of them both, because they are depicted in how they are working together. And so looking at, if you are in a partnership, looking at that partnership dynamic can be very helpful to see what internal state you are with your masculine and your feminine. Sometimes the mind can have stories of what it thinks it is, which is not linked to reality of the body. And that needs to be harmonized. So if you're seeing something different than what your body is experiencing, there needs to be a reality check. And that can be uncomfortable to hear sometimes. It can be uncomfortable to hear that, oh, there was some imbalance here. There was some imbalance here. Thank you. That's really helpful, because when you realize those things, you can become more centered between those two. And you can start to, right, I need to look after, I need to actually be open. How do I do that? How does that look? And then it's the right investigation. Because then you can see, okay, how can you alter so that you can be more in harmony with who you are. Because your body lets you know how well you're doing. And you have to use your body as a gauge to see how well you're doing. If you're only in the logical mind, you're not doing too well. I'm sorry. But if you are feeling your body, you're responding the best that you can with people around you, you're doing great. There can always be attunements. And you will feel that. The more in tune you are, you will feel that instant, yeah, I said something there. Oh, thank you. And you will have your own correction device on how integral you are with your own truth. And that I'm a little bit distracted because there is a car that drove past and now he's backing up. And feeling that. And we talked about this in another video, I remember. It's exactly the same. So yeah, there is some aspect of like, oh yeah, do I need to say hi, or do I need to like wave, or these are this beings picking up energies around. We're so happy that this happened, because then we get to explain how this picking up of energy happens. Because it happens like this, with the focus. And this being was now aware, because there's not many people around. So it's very easy to see that there's one person here. And so it doesn't help that that person is getting closer and closer towards the car either. But this is how it functions. This is how it is. And then, what could happen, unless this being is aware, will be to pick up more of what this person is feeling, thinking. The more focus that is, the more gets revealed. And most beings think that that is their feelings. Oh, I just, But it's not like that. Not always. Not always. Is it sometimes like that? So, just give me a moment there. The way that it functions is that whatever you are focused on, you receive more information. So it is always like that. When you focus, you receive information about that individual. And then there can be other stories about what this is. And that's what many people are having confusion about. That's why this is a good clarification, because most beings are telepathic. And so what literally happens is that what you focus on receives your energy, and you are receiving energy from it, because it goes both ways. Because you are focused, you give energy, and then you receive energy. That's how it works. So your focus is always important, to stay centered in yourself. Because then you know it's okay to use your focus, but most beings use it out of habit, that they always focus out there. That's what we want you to start focusing here, so that you replenish yourself, so that you use your energy for you. Because your energy is so valuable. Because it literally is currency. That's what we wanted to share for today. We are so grateful that you guys are, and the way that you are receiving this information. It's going to benefit you greatly. And we highly recommend that when you have done it one time, that you continue. that you continue, because this is a process that needs to be engaged continuously to anchor more light and more comprehension. These recordings are layered. They're multi-layered, which means that if you hear it again, you will hear new things because you will be in a different frequency. We're so grateful that you're here. We're so grateful that you have taken the time to focus in this way, to elevate the frequency of the planet with more light. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your participation. We love you very much. And sending every one of you lots of blessings. You can call upon us. We are not only Jesus, we are the entire family of light. Jesus is very much included in that. We talk to you again tomorrow. Thank you.